Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. We're going to continue on with this week's theme of post-hardcore, checking out the band Enter Shikari. I have heard their works before, older tracks though, I think. One was Zonked and one was Hoodwinker, but those were years ago. Uh, I was intrigued but never actually got a chance to dive into their stuff, so it's going to be interesting to revisit this band on the channel proper. Not that I had a channel proper when I listened to them, but let's dive into this. This is the track Return to Energizer live in Moscow from 2017.
Shall we return to Energizer?
So much energy, so many people doing vocals. Oh. So I think we're in.
Return to Energizer. Return to Energizer. Return to Energizer. Return to Energizer. Take my blood.
Anyways, I think in that odd section, we were actually in a symmetrical time signature where we were alternating between two odd phrases. Specifically alternating between 5 and 7.
That's not what you want. That's not what you want. That's not what you want.
Yeah, alright. I'm digging this. Cool. Shifted the 4 but retained the 3 pulse in our core melody. Yeah, we're shifting between 5 and 7 here. Ah, that was so good. Yeah, so big smile on my face for most of that. I'm definitely gonna have to check out more. This is 3 for 3. I don't think I've heard a bad song, or I haven't heard a song from them I didn't enjoy yet. Although that definitely makes me want to check out Zonked and Hoodwinker again. It's been God, at least years since I've heard them. Like I have vague memory. But I'm like, yeah, I need to refresh myself. I just need to dive into an album of theirs. Interesting where this took the direction. There's definitely some things in here that I feel are homogenous or similar to what we've checked out this week, but once again in a very different direction, which I'm starting to see that post-hardcore. I mean, I talked about this yesterday. I think it's a varied genre. It came from a hugely varied beginning, and the experimental side of it has once again pushed it out into a lot of different directions as well. This is interesting that they pair a lot of well, let's just get into it, right? So the beginning of this I felt was pretty typical of what we've heard so far this week. We have stringed instruments doing wildly different things. The bass was doing its thing. Two guitars, I think. No, one guitar was doing its thing, and our vocalists, all four people were singing within the first minute or so. We're all doing wildly different things. Once again, it's a layering of melodic ideas that we've seen fairly present throughout this week, and it's just it's an onslaught, and I absolutely love this. This melodic layering is can be a bit overwhelming, as we explored a little bit yesterday with Fall of Troy, and massively on Tuesday with Mars Volta. The layering can definitely get pushed up to a height that is difficult to digest. But here I think it's more of just a chaotic um, frenzy. It's not so much that I'm trying to keep up with everything, I'm just enjoying the chaos around me. And I don't know if that's because there's simplicity, maybe it's because the loops are shorter here. Maybe we're working with just 1 bar, 2 bar phrases on our instruments. Um, but to me, it's less about trying to figure out what each instrument is doing and just being in the moment with this chaos. Um, Also completely taken aback by the vocal stuff done here at the beginning. We have uh the two guitarists on stage running counter to what our lead vocalist is doing. It is just a it's a chaotic moment for sure. Our drums are going wild here. It's just bonkers. What's interesting though is that we take this whirlwind of sound and refine it down. Granted, the first time I think we do this, we descend into heavy tension with the use of dissonance, of highly dissonant tones, just like 2 or 3 notes on the guitar, where we start with mostly stability and then push into unstable triads. And we sit in this crunchiness for a while, and I don't remember what comes after that. I'm not gonna lie, I was very enthralled with this song, both musically and performance. The video was it was a joy to watch. The camera work was electric, lots of energy and intensity, and when they were swapping, and when we got cuts and when we had pans and stuff like that. Showcasing all the vocalists as well. The drummer got a little bit of a couple lines in there. Um, but the next thing I can remember is we went from this whirlwind chaos into this tight, like chest clenching tension, and then we were calm, going back to the Energizer or something. That was a vocal line that was repeated over and over and over and over, with varying harmonies between the two non-primary, or two guitarists on vocals. Gorgeous moment. We have these beautiful chords, a lot of foundational work here. I want to mention that too, is that previously a lot of our chaos came from layered melodies, layered moving ideas. And here, not only do we take the vocal work and the harmonies into a more palatable sound, but we're also simplifying all of those moving layers down into chordal ideas, simplifying the music as well. There is just a full band approach to harmonizing all of this and containing all of this wild stuff, getting rid of the distortion, getting rid of the harsh vocals, getting rid of the layers and the chaos, and bringing it down into something hyper palatable and soothing on every level. Also, we went from the chaos of the frequent call and response in our vocal work, which had you trying to listen to two different vocal sets simultaneously, that mirrored what the two guitars were doing as well. They were doing their own things, and you're trying to hear both of it while you're trying to hear what the vocals are doing. Like, it's just a lot of stuff, and we bring it down to harmonization where we have one line and everybody's singing it. It's just a really great concept of moving from feeling like you're completely overwhelmed to being at peace. Um, and then we continue to take this idea further and further until we had our ending idea with the clean guitars, the chords. We had two vocal lines again, but one of them was supporting. It was this cyclical idea. They went back to the re-energizer or whatever, with our lead vocalist doing some spoken word on top of it, and the distinction between the singing versus the spoken word and the repetition that kind of fades into a texture with that one line being repeated versus the flowing linear sentences that we get out of our lead vocalist provides another distance between them so that they can be heard separately rather than the chaotic duality we were hearing at the beginning. Like, there's just so much thoughtfulness put into utilizing composition techniques to sell specific concepts, and also to reutilize composition techniques in different contexts to sell different emotions. For instance, I mentioned at the beginning that we have the dual vocal lines as a way to confuse and overwhelm, but at the end we have the dual vocal lines to showcase harmony. So it's just really neat that they can craft stuff like that. Um, oh, I completely forgot about the dance vibe. What was up with that? That completely throws off my entire story that I felt so far about moving from chaos to harmony to nirvana. But I mean, it's just this really chill techno-y dance part in the middle that I really enjoyed. It's got a great vibe. They brought in the guitars with it to give it some of that rock metal bite, some of that aggression underneath the bright techno sounds. Really neat combination. They did something similar in one of their other works, maybe all their other works. Maybe that's what they do. I don't know. I remember like mixing electronic and rock. Um, but yeah, like I totally forgot that they did up until I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. That is something they do. Um, yeah, like it just sort of divides the song in a sense, and I don't know what to make of it narratively, but it is a cool moment. I love how it comes in kind of out of the blue. I felt that was a bit rough, but bringing in the guitars underneath it to support it was very cool. Um, and I think that's about it. I wish I would have more details to talk about, but tracks like this that really connect with me, I find it difficult to get into that critical listening mode because I'm casually, literally casually enjoying this. It's not something that I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Later, I gotta check it out. It's like, no, I need to check this out right now with my full body, emotionally, casually connecting with this more so than looking at the nitty gritty. It doesn't happen too often on the channel, but it does kind of ruin the analysis segments I just wasn't paying as close of attention as I normally would have. One thing I do want to touch on before we hit the lyrics, though, is the overall simplicity of the music. While we did have some more linear melodic lines in our opening segment on the guitars, a majority of this stuff was sort of just chords or bouncing back and forth between a couple of notes in a short rhythmic pattern. Sorry, a short melodic pattern, where the riffs, like I'd mentioned earlier, would just be 1 or 2 bars long. And I wonder how much of this helps with the palatability of all of it. Whereas something like Mars Volta that we explored earlier this week was both heavily layered and technically dense, which makes it difficult to absorb on a first listen. And even Fall of Troy moving into that direction where it wasn't as technically dense, but it still had technicality to the moving lines alongside the fact that there's just so much going on. This, I feel like the individual riffs themselves are more palatable and easier to digest. And so having all these layers is not as overwhelming or difficult to absorb because the micro components are easier to understand. So you don't have to worry about spending so much time listening to, or at least I don't have to worry so much about spending so much time listening to one thing and thinking, oh, geez, I still have this other thing to worry about and this other thing I need to listen to. Everything is just these highly repeatable, bite-sized ideas that just happen to be layered on top of each other. And so the layering is where the depth and density comes from, not the musical ideas. Or I should say, not the musical ideas in tandem with it. So it's less of a compounding of density. And maybe that helps a little bit with it, at least for me. I don't know how other people feel. Maybe they feel that this is less relatable or digestible for them. It bounces off of them, whereas the chaos of Mars Volta is more digestible. Everybody's different as well. But that's definitely kind of where I think I'm going with this. And actually, now that I think about it, I think this is a good time to discuss some of the similarities that I've seen throughout the week with post-hardcore. I do understand that it has a varied start, but something we are seeing a lot of this week is melodic layering, is also rhythmic attention to detail. We don't really hear too many foundational or suspended notes. We do have an occasional moment of playing chords. I think TMV is the only track that we really didn't have a lot of chords in, but it's also hyper experimental, so it also is very different from, I think, the core sound, while it still retains some of that, especially in its opening segments. I remember like the first 5 minutes of Cassandra Gemini have a very post-hardcore feel, and nothing else really did. But yeah, it's a lot of focus on moving ideas, of keeping the rhythmic density up, never really hanging on to notes. There is a shift back and forth between melodic moments, usually calmer melodic moments, and layered density. Kind of in the same vein that modern metalcore utilizes that genty rhythmic chugging versus bright poppy chords, I can kind of see some of that here as well, where we have a heavier, more abrasive section paired with a brighter, more palatable one. And that's a thing that has been cropping up in so many of these tracks so far. Vocals are also varied as well. We have combinations of cleans and harshes. I think primarily our harshes have all been higher fry screams. I haven't heard any growling or lower pitched fries at all this week. And vocal layering, I think, is something we heard quite a bit. So just a lot of vocal attention as well. Whereas something like metal, you're good with just one vocalist and one style. This one seems to be more diverse, where multiple vocal styles or multiple vocalists or harmonies or even multiple vocal lines are more prominently existing. Again, in a small pocket. I've heard 4 tracks so far. And even tomorrow, I'll have a whole 5 tracks under my belt with this. But those are some things I'm hearing this week. So let's dive into some lyrics here. Yeah, there's a lot. But see, a lot of this I think was also like dual said, where like one person says one thing and one person says another. A lot of simultaneous lyrics being delivered. Anyways, you look like you rented a smile from someone, but you rented the wrong size. Take it back. Take it back. You should take it back. Uh, Definitely emphasizing that. Bury it. That's not what you want. That's not what you want, because that would grow more. That's not what you want. That's not what you want. Um, so this is. I don't know. We have somebody who is not who they are that they're showing on the outside kind of idea. Somebody wearing a mask. I'm not sure yet if this is like concerned, like it's somebody you care about and they're pretending to be someone they're not, or if this is someone you don't care about and you're mad that they are, that they're wearing a mask. I'm not sure where the angle is, but it definitely, I mean, you rented a smile from someone, but it's the wrong size, right? The face you put on, the face you present doesn't fit you. We still have the element of surprise, defense shields down, return to Energizer. What? All I'm getting is like Star Trek vibes here. I don't know how any of this is pairing back to our opening concept. Wave your bloody white flags, surrender, and give in. That's not what you want. 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 It goes back to the element of surprise. Defense shields down. Return to Energizer. Um, and then it says, and all hell breaks loose when you're here. When you're here. When you're here. Um, so yeah, I'm still not sure the angle of this. We definitely have somebody who is not who they present to be, and this possibly the schism within their body, their mind fighting with who they are versus who they present themselves to be causes chaos around them. It causes problems. But again, I don't know if it causes problems with anybody around them. Maybe it causes problems with loved ones and friends. But it's definitely that's what the song seems to be about. It's a lot of repetition. I'm not sure about the return to Energizer line though. We still have the element of surprise, defense shields down, return to Energizer. Wave your white flag and surrender. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to relate that back to somebody that wears a mask, and I've just. Are we returning to Energizer? Are you telling them to return? What is Energizer? Is it just to re energize? Like to remove the stresses of life? Because we do have that duality in the music, right? Are you wearing a mask because you're stressed out and you need to detox? Is that what's going on here? I mean, that sounds like an angle of concern. This is somebody you care about and they're overwhelmed with life, which would line up with the music we heard at the beginning. And you're telling them, hey, you need to chill, you need to relax, right? I like you better when you're you. You're not you when you're hungry. Maybe that's I don't know. Maybe that's gonna go over people's heads. That's an ad that ran in the States like half a year ago or something, or half a decade ago. Anyways, that's kind of the angle I'm getting here, right? We have the chaos of the beginning, we have the clarity and nirvana of the ending, and we have our vocals saying, "Bro, when you come around and you're all uptight and stressed out, it's just not a good time for anybody. You need to chill. Go relax. Go re-energize first. Take that silly mask off and be yourself around us." That's what it feels like. So those are my thoughts on Enter Shikari's return to Energizer. This is where you guys come in. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this one. Anything you'd like to add on to what I said or correct me on, let me know. Above the comment section is a description box, and there's a link for Linktree. Takes you to this menu right here, has links for everything related to the channel. Among them, you can find ways to support the channel, join the community, the Discord community, email me, and a bunch of other stuff. Go ahead and check it out. Above that, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I greatly appreciate all three. All right, we have a special selection coming up next. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. UTC. We're going to wrap up this week's theme and check out our creator request for the week. Until next time, remember to be critical, not cynical, of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you choose to watch my videos.